So what causes the chaotic situation in Syria? This is not only due to the coronavirus and also seemingly the internal warfare between Inter Milan and Juventus, but also largely due to the incompetence of the Liga Serie A and also the Italian Football Federation. If you look into the following charts of the Italian football structure, you will see what are the problems lying behind. Of course, it is very common that national Olympic committees supervise various sports federations in a country. But in Italy, the situation becomes a bit complicated. Supposedly, Liga Serie A and also the Italian Football Federation should be the two separate entities under no direct influence from the National Olympic Committee. However, when the National Olympic Committee thinks that they need to take the action, they will take over and interfere the operations of these two entities, like what we saw in 2017 and 2018. Well, we don't know that if it could be applied into other countries. But in Italy, the Olympic Committee, Liga Serie A, and the Football Federation have formed an intimate triangle that beyond our imagination of the normal practice. Actually, the situation becomes more complicated that sometimes the president of Liga Serie A also takes the role as the vice president of the Italian Football Federation. So in this way, how can we not be prevented from not talking about the doubt of benefit transfer and the doubt of maintaining the independency of the two football identities? If you look into the Bundesliga, La Liga, and also the English Premier League, the football federations in Germany, Spain, and England may sometimes oversee the league, but certainly their roles clearly defined, but they should not be so broad as we observe in Italy. Adding up to the bureaucratic style, their mixing roles could lead the race in making the inappropriate and indecisive policies. That's why the management style in Italy is so unique that we often compare it to the management structure in China. They are so similar in various aspects. Another main reason of making dumb and stupid decisions in Italy is that most of the Liga Serie A presidents and the Football Federation presidents do not originally come from the football industry, even though like Barretta and Tavacino participate in managing various sport federations and taking the role in the Federation Council. They may still have no concrete knowledge in running and operating a football association. Not to mention the businessmen like Paolo D'Apino, who had been the CEO of various telecommunication companies without any formal engagement to the sports and football industry. Italian soccer should have someone who really knows how the football should be run in the modern 21st century. Football should not be solely regarded as the business or as a political tool. Now I dare to say, no one in Italy is qualified to take charge of the two major soccer associations, except the reformists like the members from the players' unions in Italy. We need a real revolution in the Italian soccer. Currently and sadly, almost all stakeholders are pro-establishment who only maximize their own benefit. It should be an exception to see the like of the successful Atalanta Youth Academy, who really somehow contribute to the growth of the local youth players. If you look into the list of both Liga Serie A presidents and the Football Federation presidents, you should see the organizations have not been stable enough to make the long-term development for the Italian soccer. The Italian soccer was in lockdown and in a very chaotic situation in the year of 2017 and 2018, coupled with the fact that the national team was out of the 2018 World Cup group stage. The Liga Serie was twice interfered by the Federation Council and the Olympic Committee, and similarly to the Football Federation. Even the long-term serving presidents like Barretta, Abete, and Tavacino, they were not all the reformists. Well, Tavacino advocated to license more homegrown players in Serie A when he approached the end of his tenure as the Federation president, but nothing concrete has been happened so far. Also, not to mention the former Serie A president Gaetano Michiki, who was forced to resign due to the allegations of the irregularities during his election campaign and the nomination process, which he denied at once. And so how about the current Serie A president and the Federation presidents? The Federation president, Gabriel Garfina, is the former Liga Pro president, who is also pro-established in upholding the transparency of the Federation, anti-racism in the Italian football, and the long-term development of the youth players. No significant improvements has been seen so far. Sadly, the only correct decision he has made so far was to appoint Mancini as the national team coach, who led Italy to qualify for the Euro 2020 in a very marvelous qualification campaign. And what came worse was the appointment of both the president and CEO of Liga Serie A. He only received 12 votes from the 20 Serie A teams. Certainly, he was not a very famous candidate. He was only an active businessman who was the chief executive of Telecommunications, and also Eva Pirelli, which has been the main sponsor of Inter Milan, and also Infinity West, who is controlled by the Berlusconi family. But he has no direct engagement to any sports and football entities. What is more worrying is that apart from seemingly combating the racism in the Italian football, his main priority is to settle the dispute of the local broadcasting rights of Syria and the overseas rights contracts between various broadcasters like beIN Sport, and lastly, the offer from the Media Pro for the next broadcasting cycle starting from 2021. It seems that he only wants to turn Syria into a product to get more money from selling the broadcasting rights to different distributors, and only treats Liga Syria as a media company. If he only runs the Liga Syria as a communication company as what he did, it would be a very huge disaster, because football is not equivalent to running a business. You have to be decisive in implementing the Match Canada to maintain the sphere of influence among different Syria clubs. Please also take a note that there is no Juventus representative in the Syria committee. So it is also a sign that the club may disagree with what Syria A has done so far. But how about having a good chief executive officer for the Liga Syria? Well, sadly, no. Luigi Di Sciavo was appointed in 2019, but he has done a lot of embarrassing things only for a year. He was neither any sport nor football director before. Similar to Del Pino, he was the CEO of the commercial company Rare Trade Group, which specialized in distributing its international channels, in negotiating the sports rights and broadcasting rights of football clubs, especially to Juventus, and in liaising the sales of film and music products. He only had the commercial relationships in place with the Syria League before, but no others. His damaging acts to Syria, including his incident of unreported bonus on his salary, double-dealing the TV broadcasting right from 2018 to 2021, which greatly dissatisfied with the current distributor International Management Group. And recently he has done two unforgiving decisions. Firstly, he employed an artist called Simone Pugazetto to illustrate the proposed anti-racism campaign. The paintings was intended to spread the values of integration, multiculturalism, and brotherhood. But it is strange that he didn't fact-check the previous work of this artist. This artist usually used monkeys as his main drawing characters. If you look at the monkeys on the poster, you should think about the monkey chants directed to the players on the pitch, namely Lukaku and Balotelli in the recent months. And most importantly, there was no consultation to other clubs in Syria before the image and the campaign was launched. At last, he has to apologize for the inappropriate artwork and the so-called new concept to get the campaign forward. At the same time, he was also accused of ordering the match official to switch the broadcasting microphone in order to avoid airing the actual racism chants in the stadium. He defends himself by saying that it is for the beauty of Italian football. There should be no dirty things to be heard in the world. So you could see how ridiculous he is and how hopeless Liga Syria will be, managed by the two businessmen. Of course, if you apply the whole management structure to the whole country, it also sounds hopeless. Even in the main cities like Rome, Milan, and Venice, you should find everywhere old, torn, dilapidated, no signs of resurgence. The local counties were ineffective and inefficient, mostly bureaucratic. Adding up to this is the unstable political situation, which sees the frequent switching of the political coalition and governing parties in the parliaments. So it is still a very long way to go before the Italy and also the Italian soccer to see the limelight.